So I recently got back from a trip to Europe. Before I left, and since I've been back, I had a lot of people asking questions about the gear that I was going to take, how I decided what gear was important and not, and maybe what gear they should take if they're going on a photo trip. And I figured the best way to answer all those questions would be to make a video going over all of the things that I took with me to Europe and kind of go through the thought process that I had of picking those things and the bags that I put them in. And yeah, that's about all that this video is going to be. It's basically going to be what was in my camera bag when I went to Europe. If you haven't seen it already, I put out a POV video of street photography in Bruges. You can check that out up here, I guess. That video is basically the type of photography that I was doing while I was in Europe. I've got a few more videos coming up soon, I hope, if I stop procrastinating and actually edit them. One of a really cool garden in France, and another of actually street photography at night in Paris. Both should be cool videos, assuming I actually edit them. But that's the type of photography I was doing on this trip. It was not a professional trip. I was not going to do work for clients. So that means no strobes. I wasn't planning on shooting products or businesses. I didn't bring my gimbal, anything like that. This was just like purely for the fun of it, doing types of photography I don't normally do. So street photography, landscape, cityscapes, those are things I really enjoy doing, but I don't do professionally. And so most of this gear I brought because there were certain shots that I thought maybe I'd get the opportunity to take, and so I wanted to have the gear to be able to do that. So yeah, this is all the gear I brought. I think the best way to go through it is actually just to pack my bag the way that I packed it for my trip. So the backpack that I took on the trip was this one. This is the Peak Design Everyday Backpack V2. I believe it's a 30 liter? Yes, I think it's 30 liters. It's a larger one. If you've seen my previous videos, I actually had a video where I reviewed the smaller version of the V1 bag. I probably will make a full video about this thing. There's a few reasons that I picked it up for this trip that I decided it was necessary. There's things I prefer about this bag over the older version. There's things I prefer about the older version over this. There's pros and cons. I'll probably get into that in a whole video, assuming I make one. But yeah, this is the bag I took. And I guess best way to get started is just start packing it. So I like to keep the two sides of the bag kind of separate. The way these bags are designed is so that you can have it over your shoulder and then sling it around and then open it up and get into it without having to put it on the ground. I really like that, especially when you're walking around, you want to swap lenses really quick. This is the only way to go, in my opinion. Having to take your bag completely off your back and put it down on the ground or whatever in order to get the gear out of it is really silly to me. This is the way to go. I normally swing the bag around my right shoulder, and so I have it on this side of my body, so it would be in this orientation. So these are the things that I would access most frequently. On this side, these are the things I would access less frequently. And so the things that go in here, this is actually the main reason that I upgraded to this bigger bag, which is this item right here. This is the Peak Design Travel Tripod Carbon Fiber. It's a really great tripod, very, very compact. As you can see next to my water bottle, they are basically the same size around, and then this is only a touch taller. So it is a very compact tripod. It's fairly light. It's not that much lighter than other tripods I've used, but when you're carrying it around all day, every little bit of weight counts. And this thing's pretty fantastic. Very expensive. I don't think I would recommend it to everybody, but I will make the recommendation with tripods. It is better to spend more money once than to get a bunch of different crappy tripods over time and keep replacing them because they're not doing what you want. Just spend the money and get a good tripod. This tripod will actually fit inside the backpack, which was a big deal for me. I really wanted to not have to put the tripod on the outside of the bag, partially because it's kind of like a flag saying, hey, I'm carrying camera equipment, please mug me. It doesn't look good. This is a kind of more covert way to carry camera gear if you can put it inside your bag. It also means if it rains, you're not getting rain on your tripod. I wanted my tripod to be able to fit in my bag, and this bag with this tripod works perfectly like that. And I can fit my water bottle right in next to it. So I have my water bottle and my tripod right next to each other on the compartment that I access less frequently. I've been using these water bottles in the gym for a little while. I really like having the squeeze as opposed to the pour. It means you don't accidentally spill any. And these are insulated, so these are from CamelBak, and these are pretty great. They're designed actually for bicyclists, but they keep your water pretty cool, and they don't weigh as much as like a stainless steel insulated water bottle. So this is a pretty great option for traveling around or just in your gym bag. It's got a little cover thing so you don't get lint and stuff on the mouthpiece, and then you just twist it to lock it and unlock it. It's not gonna spill while it's in your bag. Pretty fantastic, I like this thing. So yeah, those are the two main items that are on this side. And then you got the little side pouchy thing here. On this side pouch, I was carrying a battery bank. This is from Nimble. I got this because Nimble is a company that cares about the environment. They make an effort to have products that are made of recycled plastic. They don't use plastic in their packaging. I'll probably make a video talking about that because there's a lot of ethics going on when it comes to battery banks right now. This seemed like an option that was ethical. So this is what I picked up, and I have a cable for it. Basically, I had this so that if my camera died and I'd used up all my batteries, or my phone died while I was shooting POV video, or my Nintendo Switch died, or my laptop died while I was on the plane, I'd have some juice with me. I didn't end up needing it for those things. I actually did use it for my Nintendo Switch on the plane, but I didn't need it on the trip. But it's way better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. So, good thing to bring. Always bring backup power solutions if you can. That goes in the compartment there. And then I have this guy. This is from Pelican. I love this thing. It is crush proof, just like all of Pelican's stuff. It has a water sealing gasket around the edge so that it is sealed against ingress from water or dust. And it just carries your memory cards. So these are the 4 memory cards that I actually used on the trip. These are V92 cards, which means that they are very quick in terms of read and write speeds. So you can record 4K high frame rate video to them. You can shoot burst and it'll empty your buffer pretty quick. And you can copy your files off to your computer pretty fast. I had 4 cards. I had one in the camera that it was shooting photos to and another that it was shooting video to. And then if I filled a card, I'd put it back in and turn it around. The reason that I did that is because I believe that if you are on a photo shoot or traveling, you should not wipe your memory cards until after you've exported the final files back at home and sent them off to your client or posted them on social media. You never know what's gonna happen to your files and you get corrupted or whatever. Keep them on the memory card until you're done. Just an extra level of security. But yeah, memory card case, had memory cards in it. That goes in here as well. Most of the time during the day, I'm not gonna be swapping memory cards, but I always believe for memory cards and batteries, you should have 2 times what you think you need. That's that side of the bag done. On the outside of this side of the bag, I do have a little lanyard thing. This is a Peak Design anchor designed for like holding your keys or whatever, but I just had a little hex key on it for like adjusting tripods or the plate on my camera or whatever. You never know when you might need a little hex key. So flipping the bag over, unzip. Now this is the side where I keep my camera and my lenses. This is the side I'm gonna access most of the time while I'm out and about. And I guess a good place to start is with lenses. This is my 20mm F1.8 G. It's a Sony lens, autofocus, all that great stuff. It works well. It is very wide, but not so much that you get a lot of distortion. I wanted to have something that was really wide so that when I was doing things like shooting in a church, I'd be able to get a super wide field of view, capture a lot of image, but not get so much distortion like you do with the 14 or 16mm. I also had a 35 and a 70-200. I'll talk about those in a sec. I decided that I needed the 20 specifically for those church shots. I wanted to be able to get things in interiors basically and be able to have a little bit wider. 20mm 1.8, good solid lens. Haven't had any complaints about image quality. It's pretty good all around and not too expensive, so that's a good lens to carry. Next up was my 70-200. This is a beast. This is the 70-200 F2.8 GM II. So this is the second version of the lens. It is a little bit more compact than the original. It is, I think, sharper and I think focuses better. I mean, this is just an incredible lens. This is the most versatile lens in my bag, I would say. A lot of people, like their first full frame lens that they get is a 24-70 or 24-105. I think the 70-200 is more versatile. You can get a few primes to cover the wider range. This is just a workhorse lens, and I knew I couldn't leave it behind. I needed to take it because you never know when you're gonna come across something that you could only get the photo with the 70-200. A landscape of something that's far away. you don't know. So I brought it with me. I didn't want to get in a situation where I didn't have it and I felt like I needed it. I could have maybe brought my 85 f1.8 instead. If I was trying to pack lighter, that's definitely what I would have done. But in terms of getting a lens that was going to be very versatile, this was just the way to go, really. Yeah, 7200 killer lens. Can't leave home without it. So that was in my bag. It takes up a lot of space in this bag. But man, when you need the 7200, you need it. So I brought that. I also have, before I get to my camera body, I have my bag set up here so that 7200 is on the bottom, and then up here is where my 20 mil goes, and then I fold this up and then I put my camera body here with a lens on it. One of the things that I wanted to be mindful of is Paris, one of the places I was gonna be, is known for having a pickpocketing problem. And so my wallet, I had some euros on the outside of it, and all my cards. I wanted to have this tucked away somewhere safe. Didn't have it in my pocket, didn't have it in an outside pocket of the bag. So this little pouch that I got from Peak Design, I think this came with like one of my dividers for this bag or something. But it's a little Velcro pouch. I dropped my wallet and my cash into it. Euros, not dollars, of course, it says in Europe. And then this just gets Velcroed to the inside right in here. Basically what that allowed me to do was just have it somewhere in the bag that I could get to relatively easily, but nobody would be able to get to just by opening my bag, and only I would know it was there, so it's just kind of tucked away, hidden. Only thing that I had on my person would be my phone. Everything else was in my bag in a safe place. It's got these little loop things that you can do on the backpack. It's a little security loop so that it can't be opened from the top. And that way your bag can't be opened by someone walking up behind you or whatever. Just a little extra level of security. Maybe it's paranoia, but you know, always better to be safe than sorry. Up top, up here, in the very top of my bag, I kept some lens filters. I was experimenting with the Tiffen Black Pro Mists. This was a new thing for me. I had not used these before. I had a 1/4 strength and a 1/8 strength. I actually have on this camera right here, that's the 1/4 strength, and on this camera right here, that's the 1/8 strength. Other way around? 1/8, 1/4? Yeah, 1/8, 1/4. I like it. I'm not 100% set on it. It's what gives you like kind of this like bloom effect around lights and stuff. It's kind of cool. It's a stylistic look. I don't think going any stronger than a 1/4 would work for me. 1/4 is very strong, but it is a cool effect. I'm still playing with it. I'll probably make a video on these once I've decided how I truly feel about them. And then I had 2 ND filters, a 2 to 5 stop and a 6 to 9 stop. These are the Peter McKinnon edition variable NDs, the version 1s. They're solid ND filters. I picked them up because they didn't have any cross polarization or anything, and the color reproduction is pretty decent. I brought these so that I could do long exposures if I wanted to, and so I could shoot video and have the desired shutter speed. I didn't use them too much, but I wanted to have them just in case, and it didn't take up too much space in my bag, so, you know, might as well. And then finally, camera body and the lens that I kept on it most of the time. This is the Sony A7 III with the Sony F1.4 GM 35mm. This is a great lens. Probably my favorite lens at the moment. I'm really loving it. The way it reproduces colors, the bokeh, it's fantastic. I really love this lens. And it's not too big. Once you take the, flip around the hood, it's nice and compact. It balances well with the Sony mirrorless bodies. I would like to upgrade this body at some point. I've been using the A7 III for a while, and I've taken a few photos that I really wish had a few more megapixels in them. Not quite sharp enough to print super big, but it's doing a good job for me so far. I'll probably replace it with an A7R5, A7R6 when that comes out or something. But for now, A7 III, good solid camera, shoots decent video, shoots great photos, can't go wrong with it. All that stuff packed in nice in here, but there's still more room here for other items, so I had a few essentials. First off, lens cloth. You should always have a lens cloth in your bag. You should also have a blower as well. I did not bring a blower with me and I ended up needing one a few times, so I borrowed one. But a blower is also great to have. But lens cloth, you get some dust or whatever on your lens, wipe it off. You don't want to use your shirt and scratch it or whatever or get sweat on it. Not a good idea. So lens cloth, must have. That was in this pouch here. And I also, just in case, had some lens wipes. These are from Zeiss. They say you can use them on camera lenses. I've seen on the forums a few people are saying you should really not use them on camera lenses. But if you get like a big fingerprint or some grimy something on it and the lens cloth isn't enough to get it off, and in a pinch, you need the lens wipe. Having them in your bag, super good to have. Batteries, also put in this pouch. In my trip, I was actually putting them in this top pouch and they kept coming out because it's just a magnet holding this shut. So they would flip out of the pouch and end up all over my bag. I had one battery in my camera and 3 spares. As I said with the memory cards, you should always have twice as many as you think you need. In this case, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna go through more than like 2 in a day, so I should have 4. I charged them every night and I never ended up killing an entire battery. Mostly just because if I shot in the morning, I would charge before I went out for the day and then I wouldn't end up killing the battery. So I only ended up really needing to have 1, but yet again, always better to be safe than sorry. And I mean, if I'd run into a situation where I wasn't able to charge overnight one night, it wouldn't have been a big deal. I had lots of extra batteries. So all 3 spare batteries go in this pouch on the side. Zip it up, close up the bag. Yeah, so that's the 2 kind of like sides of the bag. On the outside here, I had this guy, which is a fantastic little tool. This is, yet again, another Peak Design thing. This is, I believe they call this the POV kit or something like that. I use this for recording all my POV video. So the footage that I shot for that video in Bruges, and then in France and then in Paris, I shot with this. Basically how this works is on my bag, I have these little capture clips. So you can also put the camera. So my camera can just snap into the clip and then it holds it on. That way I don't need a camera strap. I don't believe in using camera straps personally. I find they get in the way. I tell everybody else they should use a camera strap. Me, I don't use one. I use these capture clips instead. I've never dropped my camera yet, knock on wood, but for me, if I have a camera strap and I'm moving and I'm like climbing rocks or whatever, it's always bouncing around, getting all in the way. This way, attached to my chest, it is much safer. It doesn't go anywhere, it's not gonna get knocked, it's not gonna get grabbed, I'm not gonna like not notice it if someone grabs it off my side. So when I was walking around taking photos, I'd have my camera attached on one side, and then I would take on the other side, snap my phone into place, record some video with that. It's not perfect. I'll probably make a video about this as well if I get the time. I'm still experimenting with other ways to get the POV video, but this worked well for this trip, so I can't fault it. And so this little guy, when I was not using it, lived on the side in this pouch over here. Another thing that I was keeping in the bag at all times was hand sanitizer, especially going through the hotels, the airport, all sorts of places. You never know when you're actually gonna get a chance to wash your hands when you're out in public. You use a porta potty, if they don't have a sink, whatever. Hand sanitizer, always keep it in my bag. Just a good thing to have at all times. And yeah, that's that. Moving on to the top of the bag. So the Peak Design bags are designed to be opened either from the front and then getting in here, or there's also access up here in the back. There's a little laptop section. We'll talk about laptop stuff in a sec, but first let's get through the other items that live in this bag here. So food is always an important thing to have in your bag. You never know when you're gonna have to miss a meal, not be able to find food, whatever. In this case, I didn't know when I was gonna be able to find things that I could eat, so I always had a protein bar and a fig bar in my bag. I brought a whole bunch of different flavors with me, and I would just kind of fill my bag as I ate them. So if I ate them when I got back at the end of the day, I would restock my bag. So I always had basically a meal's worth of snacks in my bag, just in case, you never know. In that section, I also had my sunglasses. I wear prescription glasses, so I had prescription sunglasses for if I was driving or if I was out in the sun for a long time. Want to protect your eyes, important thing to have in there. I also had, in here there's a few different sections. So there's this kind of like big pocket here, and then 2 small pockets, and then your laptop and tablet area. So I had those items kind of in the big section. AirPods. These are super convenient. I use a Samsung phone, but still works with the AirPods. It's not perfect, but it does work. Can't complain about them. They work fine. So those go in there, and I also have chapstick. Never know when your lips are gonna get a little chapped, so chapstick in that same section with the AirPods. Next up, this is the SSD that I had in my backpack at all times. There were some super fast ones that people were talking about buying. There were a whole bunch of videos on Instagram and TikTok about them. But those drives were having some issues with reliability, so I decided to go with Samsung, because I've had a lot of the Samsung drives. Had some T2s and T3s. This is the T7 Shield, which means rubberized, a little bit more durable. I have never had issues with these. They're not as fast as those newer drives, but it has since come out that there were some serious issues with a lot of those drives. Lots of people lost files, and these are still fine. So even though they're a little bit slower, they are very reliable. I've never had an issue with them. Always have a good SSD, back up all your stuff to it, work off of it, all that jazz. This thing's pretty dang durable, so I didn't have any worries about it. I just slid it into this pocket in the top. I always kept one copy of all my files with me everywhere that I went. So there was always an SSD with everything backed up to it in my backpack in case everything at the hotel or the apartment we were staying in, if all that stuff went missing or was stolen or burned down or whatever, I would still have my files because I'm carrying them with me everywhere I go. Gotta do it. Just have a backup with you at all times when you're traveling, super important. Now getting into this section at the top here, I didn't have too many things in here because kind of the side stuff that I loaded kind of filled up in here, but I kept a little lightweight raincoat with me at all times. I knew there was a chance of rain for a good amount of the time that I was in Europe, and I did get caught out in the rain a few times, and so rather than having to go back to where I was staying and put some rain clothes on, I always had a little raincoat with me. I'm not a huge fan of using an umbrella, especially when I'm doing photography. I'm tall, so I find that if there's even a little bit of wind, my legs still get wet, so it's what's even the point? Just wear a raincoat with a good hood, you'll be fine. Most camera equipment is fairly water resistant. It's professional grade, so I wasn't really worried about the gear, but keeping myself a little dry was nice. So having a raincoat with me everywhere that I went, it didn't weigh very much, so I just went ahead and did it. And of course, passport. Passport, there's a little section up here at the top of this little area, and so that's where my passport lived. Not super thrilled by how easily accessible it is from the outside, but it is here under this, so I wasn't super worried about somebody stealing it. I just wanted to have quick access to it if I ever needed it. And that's everything that I was carrying with me every day. Of course, I had my phone in my pocket, but this is the gear that I carried with me while I was in Europe and got a lot of great photos with. There were a few cases where I would lighten the load a little bit, where I'd take the tripod out, or I would leave behind the 70-200 and or the 20mm just to lighten my bag a little bit. But most of the time, if I thought I was gonna get good photo opportunities, I'd take everything. When I went out to take photos at sunrise, like I did in my Bruges video, this is what I was carrying. Everything in this bag went with me. When I went out for the day, if I knew, okay, I'm gonna be out, it's gonna be middle of the day, it's summer, the light isn't gonna be fantastic, especially when I was in kind of the farmlands of France, which is where I wanted to get a lot of great landscape photos. The weather conditions were terrible, so I wasn't expecting to get photos while I was out and about. So I'd pare down the gear a little bit. I'd bring a little bit less because I mostly just wanted to enjoy my time, not focus on the photography so much at that moment. So this is the backpack full of gear that I took out with me when I was traveling around and taking photos. But when I'm flying on the plane, I don't need to have all that stuff on me, right? I don't need to have the tripod, so that can come out of the bag. The tripod, the raincoat, that stuff went into my checked bag, which is this thing. So this is a big boy. This is the Peak Design Travel Duffel. And this is, I believe, 65 liters. It's expandable. It is wearable as a backpack, as well as carryable as a duffel bag. So most people, when they travel, they bring a rolling suitcase. I didn't want to do that. I know that the times that I've been in Europe in the past, I frequently stayed in places where there's no elevator, you have to go up a winding staircase that's super skinny, and you're dragging your suitcase up behind you, and it's just a pain. So what I wanted to be able to do was throw this bag on my back and my backpack on my front and carry it on me, not have to drag something behind me. and it works super well. If you're going around cobblestone streets or whatever, and the wheel of your suitcase breaks, which has happened to me on a trip before, it is awful. So this is a great way to get around that issue. It means there's a lot more weight on your back, but if you're strong and fit, you can handle it. So that's what I went, and I don't think I could ever go back. I love this as an option. It had all my clothes in it, all that sort of stuff. When I was flying, that raincoat and that tripod also went in here, so I didn't have them in there. So I had a little bit more room for this stuff. And all of that stuff went in this guy. This is another Peak Design product, a lot of Peak Design products in this video. This is their little, they make a lot of packing things, little packing cubes and stuff like this. This is their tech pouch. And basically it's designed so that you can unzip it and get into it and just fill it with all your stuff. All your stuff that would normally be loose in your bag and get everywhere, you can have nice and organized. And that's exactly what I use it for. It's got a lot of little dividers and pouches and things and little zipper pockets. And so I was able to fit all these things in there, and I'll go through the stuff that I brought with. First off, another SSD. This is because I backed up everything twice. So that means I had the copy that was still on the memory card, the original file, a copy on the SSD in my backpack, and the copy on the SSD in this pouch. So when I would go out for the day, that SSD was in my backpack, and this pouch would stay back wherever I was staying. When I flew back home, this SSD went in my checked bag. My backpack was, I was forced to gate check it and they lost it, or I don't know, something happened, it got stolen or whatever. I would still have a copy of all of my files in my checked bag that would get to my destination. So another copy of everything on an SSD, just for safety. I had a USB-C to USB-C and a USB-A to USB-C short cables. These were basically for the SSDs, for copying files. Then I had a longer USB-A to USB-C cable. This was for using Android Auto in the car when I was driving. I wasn't sure if they'd have a cable in the car or not, so I had that. And this is a USB-A to Lightning. This is so that I could charge the one Lightning device that I have, which is my AirPods. There is a little international adapter, Europe to North America, and that was just that I could plug my power strip into the wall. I have two long USB cables, one for charging my laptop, one for charging my phone. I could also use them for an SSD or another charger of some sort, but just two long cables. I believe those are each 6 feet. I have a power brick for my phone and for my laptop. These are both USB-C, so they could be used interchangeably. I could use them to charge my Nintendo Switch, my laptop, my camera, my phone, whatever. Very versatile, having the same connector for everything. And then this is the battery charger that I use. This is a fantastic little charger. It's from ISDT. And what I love about this thing is you can charge two batteries at the same time, and it is powered off USB-C. So I would actually use the power brick from my laptop at night to charge my camera battery. So I didn't need to bring another power brick or whatever. I could just stick my batteries in, charges them both up, tells you that the health of the batteries is good, all that stuff. Yeah, great little charger. Love that thing. And then finally in this pouch was this guy, which is a little dock for my MacBook. It's called a hyperdrive, and it uses two of the USB-C ports on the laptop, and it goes out to HDMI, two USB-C, a micro SD, an SD, and two USB-As. And basically I just use this as a card reader to transfer all my files. It also gave me a few extra ports so that I could connect my phone when I was offloading the POV video from my phone, offloading that to my computer and then to the SSDs. And also if I was, I don't know, plugging two SSDs in at the same time, USB-A cable and USB-C cable or whatever, just options. But yeah, hyperdrive, great little dock. If you have the newer MacBook Pros, you don't need that necessarily because the newer MacBook Pros actually have an HDMI port and they have a card reader, which is fantastic. But this is a must-have if you have an older MacBook. So yeah, that's everything that was in the tech pouch. This is super convenient so that I could just chuck it into my bag when the tripod and stuff came out and I had a little bit more room. And then when I was on the plane or whatever, I could put my backpack in the compartment above and then just take this guy to the seat with me. So I'd have, chargers and stuff like that. It's pretty convenient to have that. I can't go back to just throwing all my cables and stuff in like a Ziploc bag. That's just the worst. Other things that I had that went in my backpack when I was on the plane, a Nintendo Switch. Basically just so that I could play the new Zelda games, so I could play Tears of the Kingdom. I treated myself to it as a form of entertainment for the flight. But yeah, Nintendo Switch. MacBook Pro. This is an older one. This is a 13-inch? Yes, this is the Touch Bar MacBook Pro. I've had it for a few years. It is on its way out. A bunch of the keys like sometimes don't work and sometimes press themselves like 5 times. It's very annoying and performance is not good. I knew I was not gonna be able to edit any photos or video while I was on the trip. And there were actually a few times where I had issues with like some of the USB-C ports not working properly, where I'd be like copying files and the drives would just randomly disconnect. So basically I brought this as a glorified file copying machine. That's all I did on this trip. But I needed something to be able to back up my files. I knew I needed to be able to do that. So the laptop came with me. Hopefully I'll be able to replace it at some point soon. And the final thing is these are my Moondrop Blessing 2s. These are IEMs, so they're basically fancy earbuds. These are pretty expensive, but the audio quality is fantastic. Like if you compare them to something like the AirPod, it's not even close. These are amazing. I really enjoy these, and for a flight, being able to either use these with the Nintendo Switch, or I had a little USB-C to headphone jack adapter for my phone. I mean, these are so great. I can't wear noise canceling headphones on a plane. It gives me a horrible headache. So this, having like the seal around the ears by putting them in your ears, it's the only way to go for me for a trip. It's so great. And they're super comfortable. I can wear them for like hours on end. So yeah, awesome little piece of tech right there. That just went in the bag, and then when I went to my seat, that came out of my bag and just went with me. And of course, this is my Samsung Galaxy S22, which is what I shot my POV video on. And it's a phone. It's a fine phone. Only reason I picked it was like super on sale when I needed a new phone. So this is what I got. But yeah, that's all the stuff that went with me on this trip. Yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up down below. If you haven't checked it out already, please do check out that POV video that I did in Bruges. I'll hopefully have a couple more of those coming out soon, and some other videos talking about some of this stuff. If I stop procrastinating and actually get to editing and creating some videos, I've got so much footage on my hard drive that I just need to like turn into something. So hopefully I get around to doing that. So thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And until next time, toodles.